Hey guys, it's Tom Barton from TomBartonSports.com here. We are almost set for the big game, only hours away, really. And the big conversation, who's going to win all the prop plays? Well, we could go over a bunch of prop plays. I want to concentrate on the prop play that seems to get the most attention, and that is Super Bowl MVP. We're going to talk about that today. And we are going to get into past Super Bowl winners and where to throw your money if you're looking for a Super Bowl MVP. Guys, please check me out at TomBartonSports.com. Go and check me out over on Twitter. It's at TomBartonSports. And of course, if you like this, please subscribe to the channel, like it. Go look at the other videos as well. We're always going over fun, interesting topics. All right, guys, look, let's get into it. Super Bowl MVP. It's one of the more bet things on the Super Bowl. I mean, we're not talking about things like the coin toss or player props. This is a prop play that you could enjoy almost the entire game, right? I mean, if you don't like a team, and I wore a neutral jersey to kind of say, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter about the team. If you don't like a team and you don't really like the total, you want to throw something and have a little fun, Super Bowl MVP makes a lot of sense. But there's a lot of pitfalls that happen when you're betting on the Super Bowl MVP. And we've seen it happen year after year. And especially this season, more than any that I can remember, people are throwing their money away, and I'm here to tell you guys why that is a bad situation and who I think for Super Bowl MVP. Before we go into, this year's Super Bowl MVP, let's go look at some of the past MVPs. Over the last, we'll say 10 years or so, we'll take a look and kind of take a peek here. Brady, Mahomes, Julian Edelman, Nick Foles, Tom Brady, Von Miller, Tom Brady, Malcolm Smith, Joe Flacco, Eli Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees. That since Super Bowl 44, you can see sort of the trend, right? Drew Brees, quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, quarterback. Eli Manning, quarterback. Joe Flacco, quarterback. Tom Brady, quarterback. Tom Brady again, quarterback. Nick Foles, quarterback. Patrick Mahomes, quarterback. Tom Brady, again, quarterback. Malcolm Smith, Von Miller, Julian Edelman. In the last 11 years, those are the three players that were non-quarterbacks to win this award. Now, if you are talking about sports betting and somebody that wants to get into that, look, Brady won it last year at plus 187. Patrick Mahomes was plus 110. Julian Edelman was 20-1. Nick Foles plus 325. Tom Brady plus 150. Von Miller 22-1. Tom Brady plus 160. Malcolm Smith 20-1. Then Flacco was 2.5-1. Eli was 2-1. Aaron Rodgers was just about under 2-1. Drew Brees was plus 180. So you start to kind of see the trend of where I'm going. You're not getting this big reward. You're not getting this big return. You're not getting the 20-1 odds on the guys that are expected to win, but the guys that are expected to win for a reason. A quarterback has won the Super Bowl MVP 9 of the last 12 times. 75%, guys, right? That's going back to 2010. 15 quarterbacks have won it the last 22 times if you go back to 2000. Quarterbacks are valued that way for a reason. Now, the line opened up, and Matt Stafford in some books was plus 150. Some books I saw it as high as plus 170. He's even money now. And that's kind of where he should be because professional bettors and people that are understanding how the Super Bowl MVP work know if a Super Bowl MVP is going to come, it's probably going to be Matt Stafford from the Rams. As far as the Bengals, you could get 2-1 on Joe Burrow, and that's pretty good odds if you're looking at something like that. The argument that I always have against people kind of taking a shot here, okay, is twofold. First of all, we have to understand that this is it's a voted on award, right? So that is the main thing that I want you to take away from this. It's a voted on award. When we're talking about who's going to lead the league in passing touchdowns, and we're talking about who's going to lead the league in receptions, for example, these are hardcore, 100%. You can't argue it. This is the way it is. It's concrete statistics. But when you're talking about something subjective, and you're talking about what people are voting on, oftentimes emotions get involved. Oftentimes, I don't even want to sound like it's a nefarious situation, but oftentimes the betterment of the league gets involved. So Matthew Stafford, who toiled away in Detroit for year after year, right? And Matthew Stafford comes to the Rams. Well, Matthew Stafford's a good story if he wins the MVP, right? And that boosts up the Rams. The good story boosts up TV ratings. The good story boosts up the NFL. The good story, that is Matthew Stafford, maybe better than him actually deserving the award. And it's the same thing with Joe Burrow. Look, other players on the team can have fantastic games. But at the end of the day, isn't Joe Burrow the story? this young up-and-coming guy, the new face of the league. We've heard him being compared to Patrick Mahomes all of a sudden, right? If he wins, how do you not give it to Joe Burrow when you're a voter looking at the greater story? That's something to pay attention to when you're talking about Super Bowl MVP. A great example that I always give of the clear indication that you have to just go out there and you just say, it is the most clear indication that I can remember in history where a Super Bowl MVP just had to go to somebody, even if he didn't necessarily deserve it. And I'm talking about Tom Brady against the Atlanta Falcons, okay? I actually had Tom Brady to win the MVP, and I watched the game and I said, he doesn't deserve it. Now, hold on a second, okay? You're going to say, wait a minute, Tom. My memory is Tom Brady leading his team from 28-3, the comeback of all comebacks, going out there, beating Atlanta. That has to get Tom Brady the MVP. You're right. That has to get the best player in the history of the sport. And, the MVP of everyone's entire childhood, right? And the quarterback of the team that came back. I get it. But James White's numbers were eye-popping in that game. He only rushed the ball 6 times for 29 yards. He had 14 catches for 110 yards and 3 touchdowns and didn't win Super Bowl MVP. Let me repeat that again. 14 catches, 110 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The man didn't win the Super Bowl MVP because, like I said a minute ago, you had to give it to Brady. So what kind of extraordinarily unhuman type of effort do these players need, specifically receivers, to steal the MVP away from a quarterback? Well, you're turning around and you're talking about the quarterback. They're going to be throwing the ball to them. So while I look down and I'm looking at the statistics here, I'm looking at the odds here, and Cooper Kupp's plus 425. Everybody loves Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp had the greatest season for a wide receiver ever. But during the regular season MVP, it was Brady or Aaron Rodgers, right? It was Cooper Kupp wasn't even mentioned. Michael Thomas did this a couple of years ago, regular season. He wasn't mentioned. What would Cooper Kupp have to do to steal the MVP away from Matthew Stafford? At plus 4-1 odds, all right, it's interesting to go, okay, I'll throw a shot. But Matthew Stafford's going to be throwing him that ball. Same thing with Odell Beckham, even at 18-1 odds. Same thing on the other side with Jamar Chase at 18-1. T. Higgins has been having a good year, 33-1 odds. I'm looking at these guys and I'm going, you guys might absolutely explode. And Jamar Chase might. But put this number up against with them, right? 14 catches, 110 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's what James White got. And James White did not get the MVP. So you can conceivably put up those numbers and not get the MVP. Now, I think it's a different circumstance, of course, because Tom Brady came back from the big comeback and Brady was Brady, of course. But I do go back to that game to show you the type of numbers that actually can be had. You still don't win the MVP. As far as running backs go, look, Cam Akers is big. It's like more than 30-1 or so. Mixon's about 40-1. They have 7 MVPs since 1967 due to the running back position. But in the new world of where we're looking, and I just gave you, the last 10, 11 years, in the new world, running game is not exactly the dominant trait, right? So I think you actually have a better shot at a running back than a wide receiver, because a wide receiver is wholly dependent upon Stafford and Burrow, right? So their numbers are going to go up. You can have a subpar game if you're Joe Burrow or Matthew Stafford and watch the running back game completely take over, maybe steal an MVP award there. Potentially, yes, but you got to look at the game plan. You have to look at the coaches. You have to look at the quarterbacks and the situation. And I don't think this is going to be a massive run-heavy, bad call. I don't think that the Rams can win with Matthew Stafford having a bad game. I don't think that the Cincinnati Bengals have a chance with Joe Burrow having a bad game. That brings us into defensive players, right? Ray Lewis, Dexter Jackson, Von Miller, 3 defensive players to win the MVP in the last 25 years. That's it, guys, right? So we're looking at Von Miller. Oh, he could do it again. And I address this because there's more bets coming in on Von Miller to win the MVP and the most bets in the league coming in on Aaron Donald to win the MVP than anybody else. It's ridiculous. Think about this, guys, right? Aaron Donald only has 1.5 sacks over the course of the postseason. How many sacks does Aaron Donald have to get? What kind of impact game, right? Think in your head, what kind of impact game? If I'm going to put money on Aaron Donald, what type of impact game do I think he's going to have here? Well, if you're really going to put money on Aaron Donald, you've got to assume that Aaron Donald's going to go out there and he's got to get at least 2 sacks, probably 3, And even 3 sacks, probably not enough. He's going to have to get 3 sacks and a fumble, 3 sacks and a couple stops beyond the line. You're asking for just a superhuman effort from him. And if you're going to go out there and take shots and roll the dice at a superhuman effort, why not take Trey Hendrickson, who's close to 100-1 odds in some places, if the Cincinnati defense shuts down the Rams? I know you Rams fans, well, that's not going to happen. But if they do, they're going to be looking for a defensive player to give it to. Trey Hendrickson is the guy, right? I mean, he's going to get a sack. If he gets 2 or 3, maybe they find a way to give it to him. Evan McPherson, no kicker has ever won the Super Bowl MVP. Evan McPherson's getting a lot of love here as well. Again, I just said no. It's never happened before in the history of the Super Bowl that a kicker has won the MVP. So I find it hard to think that that's going to happen. All in all, look, the Super Bowl MVP is a fun conversation to have. For sports bettors, of course, but just in general, I think you can go out there and say, I'm going to throw a couple of bucks on this, right? I think it's fine to go out there and say, I want to take a shot. But understand what you're going up against. Fun money is still money lost. And 18-1, 20-1, 50-1, it all sounds interesting and it all gives you bright eyes and, oh man, it could happen. Well, it could, but the percentages and the odds and the game flow just says we're going to be watching either Joe Burrow or Matthew Stafford lifting the MVP trophy right along with the game-winning trophy. By the way, don't pick from the opposing team. Only one time in Super Bowl history has the Super Bowl MVP come from a team that actually lost the game. I don't think we'll ever see that again. You want to talk about unbreakable records? That might be one of those unbreakable records. All right, guys, enjoy the big game. Again, I'm Tom Barton from TomBartonSports.com. Go check me out at TomBartonSports.com, at Tom Barton Sports over on Twitter. You guys want to write me? It's TomBartonSports@gmail.com. Please like, subscribe, and leave your comments below. Have a very good big game, everybody.